Hey guys, welcome in. I hope you all are doing all right. My name is Brianna, and this is going to be another collective reading. I will be using just a combination of different tarot and oracle cards, and although I will be referencing some of the current astrology, this reading or the messages that come through in this reading are not time specific. So whenever you find this video, there may be a resonating message here for you. Um, I've already laid out all the cards. I will continue to pull more cards, but the message is here. This message is a little different from the last message that I posted. In my last video, we as a collective were moving through this process of soul retrieval where aspects of our higher self, aspects of our soul were integrating into our physical vessel, right? We had cleared space, we had removed limitations, released old frequencies, and that process of release, it made space for new frequencies to integrate, right? So in my last reading, we were moving through this process of soul integration, soul activation, and soul retrieval. And that process was in turn making us more magnetic to destiny, or it was like amplifying our potential for manifestation, or um, making our frequency more magnetic for soul aligned experiences, right? Or making our aura, right, more magnetic for soul aligned experiences. That was in the last reading, which was last week. This reading, the energy has shifted, and I believe that it has a lot to do with the sun in Taurus making a square to Pluto in Aquarius. So the sun is making a square to Pluto. So the sun is the brightest light in the sky. Pluto is going to be the Lord of the underworld, right? It's our underbelly, our subconscious. It's where all of our darkness, our insecurities, our fears are stored. So the square is acting as like a battle or a conflict between light and dark. So, a square, you guys, a square is a 90-degree angle in astrology, right? It's a hard, sharp angle that produces like challenge, conflict, and tension between opposing forces or opposite energies. So we have the sun in this tense square with Pluto, and this aspect, this energy may be creating like this overwhelming situation, could be overwhelming emotions, but with Pluto, I'm getting more of like an experience, maybe an experience that feels like hell, right? It's very intense, maybe a bit overwhelming, and this experience is attempting to overshadow the sun, right? And the sun is that higher, divine, illuminated, aligned aspect of self, right? We've integrated these frequencies or these energies that elevated the self, right? But now Pluto is attempting to like overshadow, overpower, dominate that aspect of self. So in the last reading, we were accessing like six-dimensional consciousness. We were stepping into the realm of becoming the magician, right? We were becoming the magician, someone who is capable and qualified of um, um, manifesting, right? Manifesting reality, the creator. But I was thinking more of like manipulating the fabric of reality. And the fabric is just like the codes, right? So it's like system programmer. Magician is someone who can program reality. So we were accessing six-dimensional consciousness, becoming the creator, the magician in my last reading. But in this reading, Pluto is seeking to dominate or overpower that sun energy, right? So this is like a battle between shadow and light, where the shadow seeks to absorb the light. So, in this energy, you guys, we are being challenged to I want to say like stand up for ourselves or just establish a strong sense of like boundaries and control over our personal like resources, control over our resources. It's kind of like taking the reins of your power. Okay, I got this download this morning when I was brushing my teeth, right? Pluto seeks to dominate, control your reality, right? But we've already integrated this creator consciousness, right? So we are the reality programmer. So Pluto's energy might be manipulating the reality around you or the experiences around you so that it creates this illusion of suppression, right? You take your power back by saying, no, I'm actually the programmer of this reality, right? So in my reality, this is how things go, right? So if Pluto is like trying to, and Pluto's not like everyone, every entity, every energy serves a purpose in the grand scheme of the entire game, right? So we need this challenge. We need this friction in order to like transform into our most powerful selves, right? So let's not poo poo on Pluto. Pluto is serving its purpose, playing its role. So, but you still want to make sure that you, as the creator, you have everything in place, in order. You are the exalted one, right? You command your reality and you give everyone else the orders, the marching orders, right? Like this is how things are going to go. So, if Pluto or Pluto's agents, right? Agents are attempting to like just try to alter your reality in a way that is not in alignment with the reality that you want to create for yourself, right? You are the system programmer, right? So you set these rules and these standards by saying, no, this is the way it's going to go. You speak it out loud because your voice is coding reality, especially now because the energies are like swirling and creating destiny. And I'm going to get into that, but let's say, for example, um, outside forces are manipulating your finances to create the illusion of lack. You can set a decree or a rule that says no energy, entity, spirit, person, system, organization, whatever the case may be, is allowed to interfere with my finances, my resources, my income. This is a code. That's how you code your reality, right? And that's how you take your power back as a divine creator, right? So Pluto is attempting to overshadow your ability to create, or maybe your awareness that you are the creator, right? But you say no more, like this is where it ends, we're done with this. Um, and this is the code, or this is the rule for my reality going forward, right? So you're coding your reality. I feel like, yeah, I feel like that's the astrology. There are more things going on with the moon, um, squaring Chiron, but let's not get into that right now. Let's get into some of the overall messages. So the first card that came out is this one here, Sun Steed, Solstice Rarefied. So this card, it's a number 37, which breaks down to a 10. Sun Steed, Solstice Rarefied. So it talks about how the sun, it's the solstice, right? The sun is eclipsed by the moon. So the sun, we just talked about that, is, I want to say, being attempted. There's an attempt for Pluto, the shadows, to eclipse the sun. Maybe this is happening. Maybe it's not an attempt. Maybe this is what's actually happening right now. You'll be able to tell by whatever's going on in your environment. If you feel like there's an overwhelming presence of like shadowy energies, then the sun may be eclipsed by the moon. And during this time, or under a solstice, the shadows are free to, like, I want to say dance, but it feels more creepy than that. Like crawl. The shadows are free to crawl from up from the underbelly up to the surface, right? And there's no restriction, right? So during a solstice, the sun is eclipsed by the moon. It's a period of darkness, but within this darkness, a new season is being set, right? That's what this card talks about. It's like seeds are planted in the darkness, right? So it's like a new season is being set, although you do have these shadowy energies surrounding, just run, they're free. They're free to roam, but you, in this energy, as the creator, you are planting seeds. The seeds are codes, right? So you're coding your reality in the darkness, putting the shadow energies in their place so that you can do this subconscious work, right? So a 37 breaks down to a 10. A 10 talks about like successful initiation, completion, evolution, and expansion. So there is a promise of evolution and expansion, even abundance. 10 represents abundance as well. There's a promise of expansion, like growth. Once this process of seeding, sowing, coding is complete, but the shadows are never comfortable, right? It's like we have to move through discomfort. I'm getting like five of swords, 5 of wands, maybe even 5 of cups. We have to move through discomfort, distress, overwhelm, maybe even like attacks. We have to be like adaptable. I'm seeing like Neo in the Matrix. Neo in the Matrix is, he was the creator, right? He was a system programmer. And once he decided that he was the one, right? He is the one. I am the one. I am the creator, the programmer of this reality. That's when the attacks started to like pick up, right? The Matrix agents were on his ass once he decided that he was the one. So once you decide to integrate this consciousness, right? Six-dimensional consciousness of I am the creator of my reality, then that's when these matrix agents, right? Matrix agents are activated even more than before, right? So you have to like, I'm getting also like stabilize your energy, your resources, a strong sense of the energy and resources that go out and come in, a strong sense of control, right? Control, focus, determination, dedication, protecting your resources, your life force, being adaptable. It's like the Matrix, right? Being adaptable, maneuvering these obstacles, sowing your seeds in this time of darkness, coding your reality. And there is like a promise of karmic change, right? Transformation. So I've already showed you guys some of the tarot cards, but let's take it back to the beginning. The first card that came out is the Eight of Cups. The Eight of Cups talks about um, it's like hard lessons. It's Saturn and Pisces. Saturn is the lord of karma, the ruler of time, and I like to refer to Saturn as like the professor, the college professor who delivers the tests, and then he like stands back and he watches, right? He observes how we react and respond to the test. And because it's a cup energy, this is going to be about our emotional realm, right? Saturn in Pisces talks about restricted emotions. Saturn doesn't, or Pisces doesn't do well around Saturn, right? Pisces is like this free flowing, creative, abundant, high vibrational spiritual energy, but Saturn is very oppressive and restrictive. So this could be like a situation that dominates your joy, your creativity, your happiness, or your spirituality, right? Your connection to higher realms. We do have what's going on with Mercury. Mercury in Taurus is conjunct Chiron in Aries. Okay, Mercury is our higher mind. It's it's the divine mind, right? So Mercury conjunct Chiron is kind of um like overwhelming emotions. Chiron is the wounded aspects of our psyche, so it's like overwhelming emotions that cloud higher wisdom. But this card, the Eight of Cups, talks about learning boundaries, right? Learning boundaries, which we talked about briefly. Learning boundaries, controlling what goes out and what comes in, right? Protecting your aura, protecting your psyche. And this card talks about evolving emotionally, right? After you've learned these hard lessons about where your life force is being drained, then you evolve into the Nine of Cups. And we actually have the Nine of Cups up next. So let me show you the order that these cards came out in. So it's the Eight of Cups, the Four of Pentacles, and then the Nine of Cups, right? So it's like moving your life force into a state of, I want to say like sovereign control. Let me hold these back up. Okay, so it's like moving your life force into a state or a frequency of sovereign control, right? No one tells you what you're manifesting or how you're creating your reality. You're doing this consciously, intentionally, and you're focused, right? He's very focused. He's got his feet on the ground. His feet are on top of his pentacles, right? His pentacles are his life force, his resources. He's holding on. No, no, this is mine, and this is how I'm going to use it, right? He's also got one on top of his crown chakra, and he's got this death stare. So it's like moving your life force maybe out of a frequency of feeling drained, oppressed, suppressed, into this very like grounded and stable, focused and determined energy frequency, so that you can sow your seeds, right? Code your reality. And the Nine of Cups talks about transcending lower dimensions, moving beyond suffering, evolving emotionally and spiritually, reaching a level of like internal fulfillment, emotional fulfillment. And the Nine of Cups also talks about how that energy, that internal energy, radiates outward and helps you attract more like joy, optimism, love, and luck. So this is about like finding stability again, once again, finding stability in the darkness. Although it may be like a difficult task, I feel like you have the resources. You have the resources to fulfill this mission. So, you guys, at the bottom of, what's that? We have the sun. The sun just flipped out. But at the bottom of the deck, we had the Five of Swords. And the Five of Swords talks about being at odds within a group. There are three people here. So it's like being at odds within a group. Clashing beliefs. This could also be like conflicting thoughts. This could also be projection, right? Energy is being projected around your crown chakra. That's why the Four of Pentacles has this pentacle on top of his head, on top of his crown, right? So there may be some energies being projected. Maybe you're within a dysfunctional group, and this dysfunctional group is creating like overwhelm, mental overwhelm, overstimulation. Underneath that, we have the Ace of Wands. So this is like that new beginning, or this is like life force energy. So we talked about this, how Pluto is attempting to overshadow your life force energy. This is the energy that we use to create, right? It's like our creative potential. It's like the beginning of a new creative process. This is our confidence and enthusiasm. So just be mindful of Pluto's overwhelm, Pluto's conflict, attempting to overshadow your creative ability. The Two of Wands. The Two of Wands talks about taking this creative potential and guiding it, making a sovereign choice about which path to pursue. Or the Two of Wands talks about sovereign creation, right? No one tells you how to create, what to create. You're the ruler, you're the coder. My headphones just went off. So you're the coder, battery high. The ruler, you're the programmer, the system programmer. So you take your life force, your creative potential, and you choose. Choose how to direct it, where to direct it, what to do with it. Okay, let's pull just a few more cards. I'm gonna use this deck just to see. Oh, let's use this deck. I don't think I've used this one. Let me shuffle. Hold on. Okay, Spirit, any messages? Any messages from this deck? Okay, so this card flew out. It's the child. The child. But in this deck, this child, this particular child, talks about unmet needs and unresolved emotion. It's like our inner adolescent, our lower nature. Unseen, rejected, restricted. This could have a lot to do with that Chiron energy. We have Mercury in Taurus conjunct Chiron in Aries. So this could be like the wounded aspects of ourselves. These cards flew out as well. Yeah, we've got prison. We've got the other child. So we've got two children here, masculine and feminine aspects of self, lower nature. And then we have fish, which talks about movement, growth, and evolution. So I feel like this is a message about, prison talks about constraints, oppression, and traps. So I feel like this is a message about being mindful, right? Being mindful of your Chiron energies, right? Your innocence, your purity, those wounded aspects of yourself, right? Which are just younger versions of self that feel unseen, that feel restricted or rejected. It's a reminder to be mindful of these aspects of self. Military is here talking about rules, regulation, establishing order, authority, and discipline. So the message is becoming the creator, becoming the authority, maybe the authority of your own life. Pluto does talk about like authority, but Pluto wants to be the authority, right? Pluto wants to dominate and control. So this is about taking your, I hate to say taking your power back, but yeah, taking your power back and uplifting, protecting these aspects of yourself by uplifting them. The fish also talk about evolution, right? Like evolving them, not leaving them behind. Not leaving them behind. We have the scythe here. The scythe is talking to me about addressing darkness. Addressing darkness and getting to the core of the problem. If there is an energy, an experience attempting to oppress, suppress, restrict, dominate, even like wound or attack your already wounded aspects of self, right? This is about protecting them, guarding them, ascending them so that you can, I want to say, like break through with a 9 of Cups, break through lower dimensions, because we need all of these aspects of ourselves, right, to break through powerfully, right? We need to be like full of energy, full of energy. And these energies, although they may be like fragile, innocent, maybe a bit naive, maybe even a bit like egotistical, right? We can't leave them behind. We need all of our energy to break through powerfully, right? To shatter old patterns and limitations. So, this message is about establishing order so that we can ascend. And I feel like fully and completely cut ties, walk away from a past, whatever the past is. I feel like that's it, but let me just see what's going on with this deck. Any messages from this deck? Projection, energy counting. Yang, action. Karma, divine justice. Divine justice is an action. Karma is an action. What goes around comes around. Heartache. Mental anguish. Prison. Okay, guys. Be mindful of... Okay, we talked about that. Okay. We talked about these aspects of self, right? These wounded aspects of self. We have mental anguish, heartache, which is like the Three of Swords, and we have karma. This could be like taking action to clear karma related to heartache and mental anguish, taking action to heal your heartache, or just like elevate and ascend these lower aspects of self. I don't want to call them lower aspects because, well, that's what they are. Taking action to heal and ascend these aspects of yourself so that they aren't susceptible to being oppressed. We also have prison here. Prison, self-imposed limitations. Okay, so let's take the external agents of chaos out of it, and let's just focus on how these aspects of self can hold us back, right? So we want to ascend these versions of self so that they don't interfere with justice, or so that those aspects of self aren't coding our reality. So if we neglect to ascend, evolve these aspects of self, then they become like the subconscious programmers of our reality. So that's it, you guys. That's the message, but I do want to talk about, Pluto retrograde. We have Pluto, the lord of the underworld, stationing for a 5-month retrograde tomorrow. So Pluto is going to be stationing for its retrograde tomorrow. It's going to station at 5 degrees of Aquarius, and then it's going to retrograde back to 3 degrees of Aquarius, and then it's going to station for direct movement on October 16th. So this is going to be a 5-month Pluto retrograde. It's going to take Pluto about 2 weeks to move out of its shadow phase before it fully starts to move in direct motion. So by the time Pluto is moving back in direct motion in Aquarius, we're going to be well into, or maybe just starting, Scorpio season, which I found pretty interesting. So you want to check your birth chart for where you have between 3 to 5 degrees of Aquarius, because this is the area that's going to be under review. So some of the themes of Pluto retrograde are, yes, like taking your power back, reclaiming your life force and your authority, right? Reclaiming your divine authority. But I feel like personally, Pluto retrograde is going to be staging a new storyline or a new soul lesson. An old soul lesson is closed, an old cycle storyline is closing, and we're setting up the base or the foundation where we are syncing our core frequencies to align with a new storyline. Now, this new storyline may be an extension of the old storyline that you've closed out, right? If there's more work to do in that old story, then this is going to be an extension. This new story is going to be an extension or a new chapter to the old story. But for a lot of us, we're preparing to move into brand new roles, right? Brand new stories. So this Pluto retrograde is going to be a time for planting new codes, right? New seeds deep within the subconscious. Pluto in Aquarius, deep seeds, star-coded seeds. Aquarius is the star. It's our highest potential, right? So we're planting the seed that will eventually grow into our highest potential. And it doesn't matter what level you're on, right? Even if you are repeating a like extension of a previous cycle, the end goal or the ultimate intention is setting you up to reach your highest potential, the star, right? So the star is preparing to rise and take the stage in a brand new way. So during this 5-month period, there are things that will be occurring in between now and then, right? There are still like significant transformations. Maybe we have to move from one location to another. Maybe we have to leave a job and start a new job. There are still significant life-altering transformations taking place between now and then to prepare us for this new role or this rise, this ascension, right? So between now and October, we're journeying. The soul is journeying. The soul is traveling from one dimension to another, from lower realms into higher realms, preparing to shine outward, right? Now when Pluto goes direct, it's like everyone will see your true worth, your true value, and your true power. It's like your power has risen, right? So when Pluto goes direct, it's like showing everyone your masterpiece, but you are the masterpiece. So everyone gets to see your core qualities. Your core qualities radiate outward. But now it's a time of preparing and removing any internal limitations that may interfere with this process, which is taking me back to these cards here. So this retrograde is going to be a time of preparing. It's like preparation on a deep soul level. Pluto talks about like getting like deep within it's like the underbelly, right? I'm seeing like a scuba diver scraping like barnacles off of a submarine, but Pluto talks about like getting into the darkness, the muck, like getting dirty in order to uplift and redeem certain qualities of yourself, because transformation, here's transformation, right? Significant transformation, lasting transformation takes place in the shadows, right? So we're going to be transforming our internal subconscious realm, preparing for this rebirth. Death and rebirth. I did see destruction here with Perseus. Destruction, destroying limitations, maybe like self-imposed limitations. I'm going back to that peaceful warrior energy. The peaceful warrior is the warrior who programs his internal realm, right? So that when conflict comes at him or at her, they've cultivated a regulated nervous system. So it's like destroying internal limitations, ascending, evolving lower aspects of self, establishing authority, order, being disciplined, so that once Pluto moves direct, you are radiating, right? Or your true value, all the work you've done, your masterpiece, your core qualities, they radiate outward. Okay, guys. All right, that's it. Thank you guys so much for being here. Yeah, I feel like that was a good one. I'm a little tired. Sorry for the like drag, but I hope the messages resonated. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for liking and commenting on the videos because it does help the channel grow. If you'd like to reach out for me for like a personal reading or just with any questions, you can use the link in my bio, and I will see you guys on the next one.